water, black Bible, old river, come quietly, just asking a glass of water. Don't know me, don't try me, nobody gonna pick me up, I'm falling down, and I'm Fifth Street bound. Now nobody won't fill me up, I'm falling down. None of my friends around. Seen it on the news. Look like me and you. Did they hear me calling? Blue water, black rider, keep on rolling, keep on riding. Oh, silver, old Tar River, keep running. Black water, old river, that old Tar River just keeps rising inside me. Nobody gonna pick me up, I'm falling down, and I'm Fifth Street bound. Seen it on the news. Some never seem to lose. They say the rest are falling. I've seen it on the news. It wasn't mine to lose. Do they hear me calling? Keep rising, keep rising. Oh, Tar River, Tar River, it grows inside me, keeps on running, keeps rising.
And they can hear us, and now they can see us. Hey, ain't that sweet? Okay, let me just make sure that the live stream is actually working. Yeah, it is. All right, cool. All right, I think we're ready to go here, so let's just jump right into it. Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Aaron Julian, and this is WSTR, Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 185. We hope you and yours are well, and with everything going on, we want to be a platform that promotes positivity, life, and hope. Yes, we know all life matters, but there's an issue in our country that we still need to push awareness of, and that is Black Lives Matter too. So please check out our episode 174 and our episode with musicians She's Excited and Arlnauts, episode 180, as we talked about hope in these difficult times. This week, back-to-back weeks of Across the Universe, we have our good friends from the Red 5 family, Dave and Liv from Pizza and Parsecs Podcast. We're talking about the other chosen one, Neo from The Matrix. Welcome to the show, Dave and Liv.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for having us, guys. Very grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you've been on our show before. You are always a welcome guest again. And
no, this is the first time. This is the first time, bro.
Oh, I'm crossing wires because I was part of that Red 5 stream and you were there.
Yes.
Okay.
Steve. Yeah, see.
My mistake.
First time on the show. First
time on the show, but no strangers. All right. Let's see who else we have here. We have Mr. Todd Hoffman.
Hello there.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Everybody else has the night off.
Yeah. Not him off.
They took
intimidating.
They took the blue pill, but
yeah,
we're taking the red pill here, and we're going to see how deep this rabbit hole goes. And while we're at it, why not just jump right in with our main topic? Okay, Dave and Liv, you are on the hot seat. We have a bit of a tradition when it comes to our show, as I'm sure you're aware. When we have guests on, we always want to know how they first got introduced into Star Wars. So, who's up first? As they point at each other.
Yeah, right.
Your story's better.
My story, basically, my dad is a huge Star Wars fan. He has always loved Star Wars and introduced myself and my three younger brothers to the original trilogy when we were younger. And then we would go to the midnight releases and just go and see all of the episodes multiple times back to back to back, just as like a family. It would be like our Christmas tradition, or we'd, go when it was released and we'd all go together and get snacks and popcorn and sit around and watch Star Wars. That's pretty much it.
That's pretty amazing.
Awesome.
Your dad used to read the books to you too, right?
Yeah, he also, before bed, we would read a lot of the now considered canon books.
So, Legends. Yeah.
Well, they were, these ones were canon.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
They're
Before
true
the
legends.
Disney Purge.
The true, right.
Awesome. And you, Dave?
So for me, Star Wars was something that my dad introduced me to. Movies and Boy Scouts were two of the ways that we would just kind of connect with one another. So we would watch a lot of Star Wars. We would watch a lot of Indiana Jones and a lot of James Bond too. And my love for those three franchises has
pretty
sustained all this time. And fast forward to 1999. Speaking of another film that came out in 1999, Phantom Menace, of course.
Yeah.
Aware. Yeah.
Little indie film. Not sure if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what film you're talking about.
But that just ignited so much within me because the hype was real in 1999 for a number of films, The Matrix and the Phantom Menace as well. And then that was when I started going like deep into it. Like me and a buddy of mine, we'd go at school, and I remember during lunchtime, we would take that time to go out into the courtyard, get out our plastic lightsabers, and choreograph fights out in the courtyard during lunch at school.
Nerds.
It's a rite of passage for every child in America.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Nude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that, and the rest is history.
Awesome.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Fantastic. So, what made you decide to start a podcast?
So we were just sitting at Nukes one day, and
What is this Nukes? Tell us about this Nukes. What is this
Nukes. Nukes is like a soup and sandwich place.
It's like my
Okay.
favorite place to get a salad.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
It's not like like a apocalyptic like restaurant. It's just
No,
Okay.
No, it's,
that's an awesome idea though.
I know.
Yeah.
We should
right?
set
It
up like
would
a
be,
convenient
yeah.
restaurant
Yeah.
called Nukes.
oh my goodness. No, we have
All
too
right,
much on our
it's
plate.
Nukes is like everything's microwaved. Here you go, man. Here you go.
Oh no.
Okay, yeah.
Glows a
That's
little.
awesome.
Yeah, right.
So
Anyways, you're at Nukes. You're at Nukes.
and we had talked about doing podcasting before, because like we both listen to a lot of the same podcasts
Right.
and a lot of the same content creators,
Right.
and we were like, we
Well-
should do that.
Yeah, and we're both in separate podcasts with groups of friends. So
Oh.
we each do 2 podcasts.
Right, because one is not enough. You need to have like
Right.
a little side hustle. Yeah.
Exactly. We both have side hustles.
Yeah. Right.
I think
And
they're going to be happy that I called it a side
Yeah.
hustle.
side hustle.
Yeah.
Mine's a faith-based one, so
Mm.
I don't know if they're going to be
Yeah.
rand about that. It's fine.
So we thought it would be fun to build something together, to create something together,
Yeah.
and because I mean we're geeking out together anyway. We have a lot of the same interests. Your Harry Potters, your Batmans, your Star Wars, all these different franchises we would be geeking out about anyway.
Right.
And thought it'd be cool to start a podcast about it. And that's when we were at Nukes and finally decided, let's pull the trigger on this. What do we call it? And then I think Pizza and Parsecs is like the first or second name that we came up with. And
It's
she's like,
literally the first
"Sure."
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember so clearly we had just watched this older couple walk by,
Okay.
and we were like, "Oh, that's so cute. That's gonna be us one day." And being like, "How does Pizza and Parsecs sound?" I was like, "That's actually dope."
Dig
Yeah.
it. Dig it. Yeah.
It's never
That's
the first
awesome.
name that sticks. Todd, do you remember any of the other candidates for our show title? Has it been too long?
Well, honestly, it was Blue Harvest. That was the one we were going
That's
for.
right, yeah.
We were one of the things we went to a church. We're all in the production group together, and the church was called Harvest. And so we were like Blue Harvest because that's what Return of the Jedi was, filmed under, because it's a horror film, obviously, And,
yeah.
we thought about that, like, oh yeah, Blue Harvest, and obviously we didn't even look, like, we were so ignorant, we didn't even look like how many Star Wars podcasts are out there. We're just like, we're gonna do this because we like talking about Star Wars, and then it's like,
Mhm.
oh man, there's like 500 podcasts out there.
Yeah.
We had like no idea, So we're like, oh, let's do Blue Harvest. And Summer, I took it. I mean, it's not the most original out of it, but we were
Yeah.
we were cool. Our buddy Armand made T-shirts. We have Blue Harvest on, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna do Blue Harvest. And then we're like, oh, we should probably check the internet to make sure that's not already taken. And
Yeah.
it
And then it was like a solid week of like, what about this? No, it's taken.
no,
What about that? No, it's taken.
no.
Till we
Yeah,
finally,
so we kind of went through that. So I'm sure you didn't have that. You're like Pizza and Parsecs. No one has that. No, it's too good. So.
yeah.
I mean, no one else has Pizza and Parsecs, so
No.
Well, now I think we might need to rebrand and call it Pineapple Pizza and Parsecs.
No.
Though.
No.
I was
No.
thinking about that yesterday.
Didn't we have this conversation on the Red 5 stream?
I feel like that's when all of it
Probably.
started.
Well,
Oh,
all right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Cam's on the live chat too, so don't even start this stuff.
Oh, Cam's here. Hi, Cam. Someone gave up Twitter and stopped battling me last night, so it's fine. I win. It's great. I'm the winner.
Oh, that's
I'm a
awesome.
sore winner over here.
Yeah. No pineapple here, man. All right, so let's before we get into too deep on the pizza here, we're gonna be talking about another prophecy today, man. Another chosen one. I'm excited about this. Where were you, March 23rd, 1999? No, actually, I think it came out March 31st, 1999.
Ooh.
Easter weekend.
I was not yet 5, so I was probably
Matrix.
picking my nose somewhere.
It's the first of all, the other one. Oh my gosh. You're just a babe.
Yeah.
Just a babe.
Yeah.
I was 7.
I was 11 at the time.
Okay.
And
That's
it
like
was
just barely old enough to maybe see it.
Maybe.
I didn't get to see it until a couple of years after, and
Gotcha.
yeah, my parents did not let us. I'm an only child.
Us,
Let all
you and your friends.
let
Yeah.
all of me watch
All
R-rated
64
movies.
versions of you.
Yeah. You need to diffuse
Right.
the guilt a
Think
little
of
bit.
Right. You keep the multiverse to DC, okay? So
Yep.
yeah. I was 24, so I was very ripe to see it, and it was wonderful.
When I did see it, I was blown away by it, though.
Yeah.
Like this is a spectacle and a half. And obviously, when I first saw it, I didn't fully comprehend or understand the vast depth that's in this movie. I even at the time, I didn't put the 2 and 2 together about the prophecy, about how you could relate the prophecy in the Matrix to the prophecy in Star Wars as well. And that kind of stuff didn't really resonate with me at the time. I was just like, slow-mo guns, shooting stuff. It's
Bang,
awesome.
bang, bang.
Yeah.
Boom, gun. Yeah. So the budget was 63 mil, and it made 465 mil worldwide, but not 171 mil local, which seems kind of low, but
Yeah, you'd think.
I don't know. It's 2 hours and 16 minutes of awesomeness. That's what I gotta say. So
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I mean, it more than made its money back on a $64 million budget.
But
Yeah.
I would say one of the things too, similar to the prequels, the other two after the Matrix have the same kind of let's just say it doesn't go well. I think. I mean, because personally, I think it's just like anything else, especially like with Star Wars. You know, Star Wars, no one expected it. Boom, it's here. You see the Matrix for the first time, your eyes and brain are not ready for that, and you're just like blown away. And then so you have your expectations are so high going to the two, because you know, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. Reload is gonna be fantastic. And then you're like, I don't like it. You know, and then when it ends, the trilogy ends, you're like, it's not as bad as Game of Thrones. It doesn't end as bad as Game of Thrones, nor does it end as Rise of Skywalker. But it's not to many people, it kind of falls to the wayside. So it's like almost like Matrix and those other two or whatever. You know, what do you guys feel about that?
Well, I'm aware of that there are feelings out there on Reloaded and Revolutions. Yes. There are lots of feelings.
Don't forget Animatrix.
Oh, and I mean the Animatrix. I could talk about the Animatrix.
Maybe later. Maybe later.
First time.
But the Matrix as a standalone movie really made you feel like, okay, I think I have a grasp on this, and have a good understanding. And then Reloaded and Revolutions just kind of turn everything on itself. And there are a lot of people that didn't react well to that. They were like, I want to have the same understanding of what we got in the Matrix, but when they, or rather when the Wachowskis kind of pulled back the shroud over what we thought we understood, people didn't react well. But personally, I still love Reloaded and Revolution so much. And when I think about the Matrix, it's a franchise that I don't necessarily think of in three distinct movies. I think of it as like an entire storyline, which is weird to say. I mean, even though Reloaded and Revolutions came out within 8 months of each other, and they were kind of meant to be consumed all at once, but I still put them all together into one cohesive thing, I guess you could say. So I think I like it. What do you think?
I love all three movies. I have a very special relationship with the Matrix trilogy. I was 7 when it came out, so I couldn't really watch the whole movie, but my parents would let us watch all the fight scenes.
Like any good parent should.
Exactly. Right. I had some great parents. Let me watch great things.
Look, violence.
Listen to the violence. But then when I was like old enough to kind of comprehend a little bit of the depth within the Matrix, they let us watch 95% of the movie. Where like most of the more adult scenes were fast forward really quickly and like, we're gonna skip over this. But I have a hard time sitting down and only watching one of them. Like I almost have to dig out an entire day and watch each and every single one back to back to back, as if it was one 6+ hour movie.
Yeah, because it does flow. It does flow really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The way that they, for me at least, like the Matrix informs Reloaded very well, and then Reloaded informs Revolutions really well. For me personally, I know a lot of people don't like what happens in them, or they might disagree with that, but they definitely they all vibe well for me.
Absolutely. And I think the people who
I think too, like Star Wars. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think the people who don't really like the additions to the Matrix only give it, and this is just an observation, I'm not calling anyone out particular. Don't come for me, even though I'm like the most controversial person on the planet. They only take it for surface level, and they don't open up to the idea of the true depth and like the really nice roots that Reloaded and Revolutions like have.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Yeah.
Well, my first experience
I was just going to add,
We're breaking up with you, Todd, a little bit here. So my first experience with The Matrix, I can't quite remember how old I was, but it was old enough that I watched it on a VHS tape. So I'm going to guess like mid 2000s at latest, which would have put me about like 10, 11, 12 years old, which is probably right about the ripe time to see it, to be honest. At that age, I mostly just appreciated it for just the big flashy action scenes and all that, and like what adolescent boy wouldn't. But I've rewatched it at pretty much every stage of my life from there on forward, and there's always been a deeper meaning for me. At one point, it was very much just like on the psychological level or the philosophical level of, what is the nature of reality and our place in it. Um, and it pretty much is like a philosophy 101 course in a movie, which is quite astounding. It was a text in a philosophy course that I took in college, so take that for what you will.
Oh,
But yeah, we had to watch it before a certain lesson. So there's lots to say and unpack there. But it also I'm a fan of the cyberpunk genre. So it really hits that sweet spot of like mid 90s to late 90s cyberpunk aesthetic, and how that plugs into the larger body of work that is cyberpunk and all the political and philosophical ideas that are associated with that. I appreciate the movie more for that as well. But it's one of those lightning in a bottle movies that kind of does the impossible, where it introduces all these kinds of topics and subjects to an audience that probably wouldn't be interested otherwise. But by packaging the movie like this and pulling it off so stylishly and effortlessly, they're really able to welcome you into their world and introduce these kinds of ideas to you just a little bit at a time. And the first movie is especially good for this because it takes a long, long time to explain exactly what the Matrix is and how it works. But it's paced perfectly. It doesn't do it too slowly, but it doesn't lose you along the way either. And it helps that you have Neo as kind of the anchor character of this, because he's just he's Keanu Reeves. He's super relatable. And he's this kind of new adventurer being led through this new world, and we, the audience, are brought alongside with him, much like Luke with learning the ways of the Jedi in Star Wars. And because
preach
of
it, brother,
that,
preach.
yeah, because of that, we have the advantage of learning about this world the same time that Neo does, and it's able to be fed to us just enough that we need before we can move on, and it's just perfectly paced. I love it.
Well, and you almost believe at the same time Neo does.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I think he could do this. Like, I believe in him. Like, even though, I mean, we might as well get into like the prophecy. So, similar to what we see with Anakin and, in the prequel trilogy, is that there's this prophecy. And so Morpheus is literally Qui-Gon Jinn. He's our Qui-Gon Jinn. And he's dead set on finding this person, very similar to if you read any of the novels about Qui-Gon Jinn. He is like deep into the lore, deep into the prophecies, and he feels when he meets Anakin, that's the one, And I feel like when Morpheus, he's got a whole gang of people helping him out, trying to find this one, and when he finds Neo, he unblinkingly just like, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that this guy gets where he needs to be to bring basically balance to humanity, and balance to force, So it's like, okay, all right, we got it. So Morpheus is definitely our Qui-Gon Jinn in this film,
Yeah, he had that unquestioning, unwavering belief in the dogma behind the prophecy.
Yes.
Like unwavering. Even when Neo eventually tells him, I'm not the one. He's like, no, you're the one.
You just don't believe it.
Yeah, you just don't believe it. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, and I love too, like you're kind of bringing this up, Aaron, like just the cinematography. The Matrix is very green. When they're in the Zion, it's very earth tones, and like you don't see that right away, but your mind sees it, and
but
it's
your
like,
brain does. Yeah.
Yeah, your brain does. You're like, so when you rewatch it, and you're like, oh, I see what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's another Star Wars connection in the Matrix. The red dress lady is also one of the girls in the nightclub that Anakin tries to not look at. And also Mouse is our good friend, their death stick friend. So there's another connection there. So yeah, so little Star Wars love there too. So but yeah, let's talk about the prophecy. What do you guys think about this?
Oh boy. So I mean, the prophecy for me represents a couple different things. The first of which, I mentioned earlier that Morpheus believes unquestioningly in the dogma behind this prophecy. And really what that does is when people buy into that prophecy, it gives them that hope. It gives them hope, which of course is one of the central themes in Star Wars.
I'm not familiar. Could you fill me in, please?
Number of decades ago, there was this movie called A New Hope. But at the same time, it also represents an illusion, a construct of control, which is kind of how, if I were Anakin Skywalker as a kid, this is how I would see the prophecy, is how we eventually find out what the prophecy is in the Matrix from the machine's point of view, where it's a control mechanism for the one to come back, return to source, and reset the Matrix. And how that's just his purpose. He's just supposed to fulfill that purpose. Everything that he has done up until this point has been predetermined. He was always meant to go meet up with the architect and make that choice. And that's the end of it. And, we in that moment with the architect, and I'm branching into the other movies, but yeah,
it's fine. We'll keep up. It's fine.
It really brings in this. You look at all the screens behind the architect, and you see Neo just so angry and petulant and angsty, just like Anakin kind of was in the prequels. He couldn't really take that pressure of the prophecy and this role that he kind of had to fill. So I saw a big parallel with that as well.
It's kind of like, I always relate it to sports too. It's kind of like, if you're always told that like you're going to be the best football player, basketball player, and that's what you're told from day one because your dad was an NBA player, your football player, whatever, and that's all you've been told, you don't get a perspective, of other things, and then you believe it. You're like, yeah, I'm going to be the best, but maybe you don't try as hard or you don't push yourself. And so that's kind of some of that angst that you get, like, well, I'm the one, so what are you going to do? And I think you see that both parallel with Neo and Anakin.
And also it kind of takes his own wishes out of the equation too. Like, obviously choice is a big theme in the Matrix. Anakin didn't really have a choice. He just was the one. He was just told that he's the one. He's supposed to be the one. He didn't have.
Well, he also had Papa P in his back ear. Be like, hey man, don't worry about these guys. Me and you are tight. We got something going on here.
Papa P.
Papa P.
But what about you? What are your thoughts?
You pretty much said everything that I would have.
I stole it.
Yeah, so
I stole it.
Oh my God.
This is a rare occurrence.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think there's an unspoken falsehood to aspects of both the Star Wars and the Matrix as far as prophecy goes, because we're given Anakin, who was told, "Oh, you're the one, you're the one, you're the one." But he also had a kid. So there's perspective of like, well, maybe it's Luke Skywalker who was quote unquote the one at times, depending on who you talk to. And then we look at the Matrix, and there's a prophecy that Neo is supposed to go and reset everything. And he chooses to not. And he chooses to go save Trinity, and then makes kind of his own prophecy and kind of fulfills what Zion's prophecy was the whole time. So there's always, like, I feel like there's this false prophecy, and then there's like the true prophecy underneath that we don't really talk about a whole lot of the time, and we don't really like dive deep into, that both movies give us opportunities to see.
And what's interesting also about, you know, the when you look at the prophecy and the one and the messianic nature of Neo, Anakin.
Yeah.
And I mentioned hope before, the hope that brings along with that. We see like there are people, like they're legends, basically. They're legends by virtue of that title. And that's kind of what brings that hope into some and fear into others, which we kind of see with some. I mean, it's hard to say that a machine might have fear, but I guess you could say to some degree there were machines, like the two agents at the end of the Matrix. They saw Neo and they noped out of there so fast after they saw him. You just kind of look at each other like,
we're out.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I felt like Babyface Scary Voice had fear in the last movie.
Oh, the Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Yes.
Babyface Scary Voice.
Babyface Scary Voice. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like there was a little fear behind, like, not really believing that Neo could take care of the infection that was spreading.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well,
I just wanted to say Babyface Scary Voice.
Well, I mean, and also the other thing about the prophecy that's interesting here is kind of like there was a person that was free and freeing others, and then he went away, you know, and like, so that it does have very biblical things as well. Like God was present and then he went away, and now Jesus is coming to help kind of save those, you know, so it's kind of has that same kind of feel. And again, you don't have to get too deep, or you can go real deep in the Matrix, you know, it depends how deep you want to go, but there's definitely that kind of like, because Morpheus basically says like, after you died, the oracle prophesied his return, and that his coming would hail the destruction of the Matrix, end the war, and bring freedom to our people, which it's also biblical. So, but there's all, you know, there's a lot of different things. Like you said, there's, like you're saying, Liv, it's kind of like, there's this kind of like a street, like on the street kind of prophecy. And then there's like this really deeper prophecy, you know, that you see both in Star Wars and I would say in the Matrix too.
Absolutely. And that's my favorite kind of part of the conversation to go into, is how similar both are to just faith and Christianity, and the way that kind of ties into a biblical aspect.
Yeah.
Because there was this prophecy for so long, and people were like, oh, here it is. And then God literally disappeared for 400 years. And that's where we get, you know, that gap between Old and New Testament. And we're never really told exactly how long between each Neo we have, but I can assume, you know, if we're going off of a loosely based or even massively based, depending on how deep you go into the Matrix,
sure,
or into Star Wars, there's probably a long time between Neos to like kind of allow that reset to happen and allow those 12 men and 12 women to kind of age up and build their Zion again.
Right. Well, and in Zion, you know, we have actually, you know, we have humans breeding humans and not machines, which again,
right.
the visual stuff on this thing is second. It's top notch. Like, it just blows your mind. Like, when Neo wakes up and first of all, you get that. I forgot about the sound. Like, when he touches the mirror and it kind of calls up, and like the thing kind of goes, like the mirror goes into his mouth. It makes this very analog sound, like it's going through a modem. And you're like,
yeah.
Dude, this is deep, man. This is cool, Right. And then he wakes up and it's like this alien thing, and you're neomorphic, and you're like, you look outside and there's like, they're harvesting babies. You're like, dude, this is just, what is going on?
Right.
And he basically, and we, he goes down the birth canal. He's like, he's like free for the first time. And it's just like, okay, this is pretty deep and pretty weird, but I'm digging it,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just this movie has, I said it before, I mean, it's very anime. This thing is like straight up the most anime movie. And got running on rooftops, you got wire fu, you got all this kind of stuff, and it's just
melodrama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Expositions and like stuff like that. But I forgot the one thing. I'm going on tangent, but I don't care. Hugo Weaving is like Mr. Anderson. If I could hear him, if he says Mr. Anderson a couple times, I just love. He is so good in this movie. It's like unbelievable. And when he takes a personal with Morpheus at the end, it is just you can just tell he hates this place, and it's the smell and all. If that's even what you call it, you're like, dude, this is so good, And I like the contrasting style too when they fight, because Mr. Anderson, or like he's just like, he's very stiff, where Neo is very fluid and right. And it's just like, I just love how he is like more machine and Neo is like that free form. And it's like, it's literally, again, I'll use a DC reference. It's Batman Joker. It's like perfect. They're perfectly aligned. And obviously that plays out further as we get to them, through this. You're like, oh, okay. So when they absorb, they cross streams and things happened. And, but I love that dichotomy where you have that kind of perfect evil and perfect good in that kind of sense.
Right.
And I said, at the end of the Matrix, you start believing, when you see an agent, you run. And then when he looks to the stairs, when he's in the train station and he doesn't go, you're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is it. Like you feel like that's part of that experience, that movie experience, as well as that hero's journey that you also get with like Luke. Like you also get that, like, he's going to stand up. He's going to, he's going to shoot the proton torpedoes. You get that same kind of feeling that you experience with Neo for the first time. You're like, dude, he's going to stand up to this guy,
Right.
And then at the end with the bullets, you're just like, all right, it's a hard flex. And he does flex. He does flex when he absorbs, and he kind of does that hard flex and the whole thing. Like, yeah, it's super Akira. It's super amazing. I love it. It's so good. I don't know where it's going with that, but
it's very anime.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's what the Wachowskis have basically said, is that they wanted to make like a live action anime, and so they had many influences on that. So
yeah,
it's no wonder.
Yeah,
and when they were creating it, I mean, this was almost an auteur type film. At the end of the day, where the Wachowskis were just, the Warner Brothers gave the Wachowskis the $64 million, said, all right, go shoot in Australia. But before that, they had to do a ton of legwork on selling the idea to Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
They had to basically come up with a graphic novel of what this would look like in storyboard form. It was, I mean, the two were synonymous with them.
Hey, that sounds familiar. George couldn't freaking sell this movie if he could. It's just like, it's the adventures of Willis and the Willows and all this stuff, Star Killer and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, dude, you gotta narrow that title down. All right, it's Star Wars, and it's like, George could not sell this movie. I mean, he couldn't. And I would say, Wachowski brothers too, they couldn't sell it. Like, what do you mean they're going to be shooting in slow-mo? I mean, the tech that they did was copied, just like the tech that George did was copied. I mean, it's just above anything else you would see in that same time period, and it was copied after that. After you're like, oh yeah, I've seen this in the Matrix, but Matrix was the first. I mean, as soon as Trinity does that, like you do that slow-mo kind of twirl around, you're just like, what is happening?
They wasted no time. That was the first sequence you see in the Matrix.
Yeah. You're just like, I mean, that was it. Like, you're just like, okay, okay, like this is happening. So, but it's super interesting too. I think, similar to Star Wars, like, I say the Matrix had more, you like, that's a water cooler movie. Like, dude, you gotta go see this. Like, you have to see it. And then once you see it, you want to go right back and see it. And I think that Matrix and Star Wars have the same thing. Like, I would do that multiple times. Like, oh, let's go. 7:00 show, I'm going to 9:30 show. Let's go. Like, that's the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, I watched it until Phantom Menace came. I went every week to, like, I watched The Matrix, because it was just like that was it, And then, I mean, come on, we have to talk about the elevator lobby scene. I mean, come on, that thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the music, I mean, it's so 90s, it's got the nice music, got a little techno going on, and the way that's shot and the way, I mean, it's straight up, it's like, I keep on saying it, it's anime. It's just like they're walking up walls, you got chunks flowing out, it's fantastic. I don't know what to say. I mean,
if Phantom Menace has the Duel of the Fates,
yes,
the elevator lobby is that for the Matrix.
Oh yeah.
And he makes a comment too when they go up to when he grabs Trinity, and they kind of go up the elevator shaft there, very Princess Leia, Luke there. But he makes a mention of there is no spoon, and like he kind of brings it back to like, I don't know how we're gonna pull this off, but I know I could do this, and I kind of like that they put that kind of stuff in there. It just makes it's super smart. It's overall like a super smart movie,
I think that's one of the most remarkable parts about this. I mean, obviously Matrix is a film that has endured, like it still just as rewatchable today as it was, back in 1999. And it's one of those movies, but I mean, you could say this about any movie, but I think especially with The Matrix, it's really one of those movies where you get out of it what you put into it. Because one of the goals that the Wachowskis had for the film was they wanted to make a film that people could watch intelligently, and they could have intelligent discussions about the film while it's still entertaining and might not necessarily be like this slow burn noir film or anything like that. They wanted it all, and they did it all.
Yeah. I mean, for Reloaded, they built a highway, man. They built a highway to do wire fu with cars. I mean, it's just they built a highway to film that whole. I mean, it's just like, you can't make that up. I mean, like, I always say like Phantom Menace is like a masterclass in like train models. It's just like, I don't know how you pull it off, but it looked cool, but used all these little models and it looks great, And then they literally, it's like a master class in just how to use practical and computers, because again, computers weren't right there yet, but it's like for at least for the Matrix. I mean, probably Reloaded a little aged, but like Matrix to me ages very well because they didn't use a lot of CGI, but you get a little bit, when Neo fights all the Agent Smiths, it's like
early brawl.
Yeah, it's a little much. It's still cool, but it's like a little fake, where
Yeah.
You can see all the
You mean
seams.
the simulated world that we're seeing in a movie?
Oh my God.
Right, the Sims movie that we're watching. Yeah, exactly. So Neo has an awakening, both physically, as we talked about earlier, when he kind of comes out of the neomorphic thing and gets flushed down the tube and gets choked by a robot and then pulled up by a crane and all that stuff. But he also kind of has a spiritual awakening. And I think we hear that in, Star Wars. So Luke experiences that because he gets kind of pulled out of his dusty planet and kind of sees something different. And we see that with Rey in the sequel trilogy too. And Snoke drops a line, have you felt it? There's been an awakening, and that works on multiple levels between good and evil. What do you guys feel about Neo's awakening?
I think it was necessary in all the sense of the matter, having him just be like a very clear physical awakening of him realizing the reality of his one decisions, but two of what he's been living in for the X amount of years that he has thought was reality for him, but also seeing his spiritual awakening was like absolutely necessary for the viewer and for the people of Zion and for the people he worked with to continue that belief. And even for him to kind of step closer into that understanding of, okay, I could actually do this. And this is actually what I'm meant to do. And this is how I'm meant to spend the remaining time of my life.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have intelligent moments sometimes. I just wait to slide in when I know I'm good.
Mm-hmm. This one's baking in the oven a little bit. I'm gonna just let this slide right out here. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, Aaron, what do you think?
Oh man. I mean, a lot of it might have been the first time I heard about the Matrix was in a book on screenwriting that I was reading at the time. Whereas it's less about screenwriting and more about just like writing stories. And it talked about the hero's journey that was first laid out by Joseph Campbell. I think the book wasn't by him; it was by a student of his, I believe. And it laid out how every hero in the hero's journey, they have this moment where, they're living their lives as normal in the usual world. And at some point, there's some kind of call to adventure where it's some kind of announcement to them that the world is not all as it should be. And they could step up to make a change, whether in the world or in themselves. And it's that call to adventure. And, Neo has that when he gets the phone call from Morpheus and has to sneak around the building. And, then he's captured and has the bug in him and everything. And it's typical for a hero going along on the journey to kind of refuse that call, to be like, no, I'm not ready for this. I'm not the right guy. You've got it all wrong. I'm not doing this. And that couldn't be more perfectly personified with the red pill, blue pill scene, where it's like, well, you have a choice to make. You can't back away from it now. And there's no running from it. You either take the blue pill and go back to everything that you've known and forget this whole thing ever happened, or you take the red pill and you see how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Yeah.
And so that's his awakening, where it's very painful. It's very traumatizing. After he's like plucked from the pod, he spends who knows how long recovering before he can actually even begin to learn anything.
Right.
And even in the learning, he's like completely humiliated and taught that he pretty much knows nothing about how this new world works. And it's just so true as far as when we have to go through our own awakening about different things. In a sense, just as our dream world is as different from reality as the actual world is. It's like when you awaken, it's not always going to be a pleasant experience. You're going to want to go back to your old way of doing things, kicking and clawing and screaming, even if it's not good for you, and even if it's not in your best interest for the long run. But it's that kind of act of courage to say, you know what? Everything that I knew, I'm willing to set that aside to learn what I need to know in order to grow and be the hero that I can be. And Neo follows that arc perfectly. So his awakening is absolutely crucial to that. He's willing to say, all this is really weird, and I don't understand a single ounce of it, but there's something that's more real than real to it. And I'm willing to throw away everything that I have known and grown to love and become comfortable with, because I know it has to be better than the kind of pain that I've been just living with and been so acclimated to that I barely even think about it anymore. That's like the big heroic step into an actual adventure. And that's why he's the chosen one, because he's willing to do that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
mic drop.
Yeah.
It's like,
way to show me up. Jeez.
I don't know. I just kept going.
Aaron was a little baking in the oven a little bit more. That's why I had to pull him out of the oven. Okay. So let's just end with this like big question. Did Neo fulfill the prophecy?
Ooh. Which one?
We don't have an hour here.
In my opinion, and this is something that, I've come to this realization this season of my life watching the Matrix trilogy. It's not one that I've sat in multiple times, because if you were to ask me, like in any other season of life, I would have said, yeah, absolutely, he fulfilled the prophecy. But now, having this understanding of, well, he didn't fulfill the architect's prophecy. He didn't fulfill originally what the oracle's prophecy, quote unquote, was. Because if we look at the very, very end, she talks about hope, and she talks about she had hoped that this was the outcome, because it's not the outcome that they have experienced on multiple other occasions. So basic answer, no, he did not fulfill the prophecy. He fulfilled the prophecy of Zion, which was not within the Matrix.
Interesting.
So no, he didn't fulfill Matrix prophecy, but he fulfilled humanity's prophecy.
The only thing I will add to that, other than saying yes, absolutely yes.
Well,
Yeah, right. Smart answer.
As far as, I mean, earlier we talked about what is the prophecy? The prophecy as a, on paper, it's a construct. It was something built by the machines to keep the humans in control, and in this cycle of control. And that's the only thing that the prophecy from on paper was actually meant to do. But when you conceptualize that outside of the world of the Matrix into the dogma that Morpheus believes so highly in, and maybe it's not that the machines are necessarily destroyed, but you achieve that peace. Neo does eventually fulfill that when he returns to source, uniting these previously alienated domains, the machine world and Zion.
Yeah.
And by returning to source and brokering this truce between them, Neo was able to accomplish that in a very Christ-like moment, a very messianic-like moment. Exactly.
Yeah.
And because but from like the machine's standpoint, Neo did not fulfill the prophecy.
No,
he was engineered to love humanity. He was engineered to have humanity in the virtual world,
right.
best interest at heart, so that once he actually made it to the architect's chambers, he would choose to return to source every time.
Yeah.
But instead, what he does, Neo is in a place in that moment where he doesn't love all of humanity. I mean, he does. I mean, he loves all of humanity, but he loves one a lot more.
Yes.
That
sounds familiar. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
So
all right. Yeah,
in that sense, both he and Anakin fail.
Yeah. Well, because both Neo and Anakin, they don't see outside of that love. Like that's it. And, Anakin spares no cost to try to control love, which is, you can't do that, bro, and he screws it up. Like he screws it up. Right. And Neo, in a sense too, takes a selfish approach, with Trinity,
Yeah. It's
but she's also told that she's going to love the one that, it's like this whole like mind thing. It just like,
it's really interesting because like, for me, it's like, when did the cycle actually break? I mean, in my mind, when I think of the system of control, I think of it as a cycle. Like, when did that cycle actually break? And for me, that cycle broke not when Neo walked out of the other door, but when he was on his way to save Trinity. Think about the entire concept of the powers of the one and how they can tap into this code and defy laws of gravity physics. And when he was going with all of his heart to save Trinity, for me, that's when he broke through and actually touched the source code. And that it is in that moment that the cycle, or there was a break in the chain.
Yeah.
And that gives the opportunity for an alternative approach to come up.
I'm going to pose a question really quick. Really quick.
That was the last question, Liv.
I'm sorry. Would you say, though, that Neo, this 7th or 6th Neo, the current one that we're speaking of, him falling in love with Trinity is actually a truest form of falling and sacrificing and saving humanity, because that's the truest form of love that an individual can connect with? And that actually was, in a sense, the kind of transition of which prophecy was going to get fulfilled?
I think it has to be the truest sense of form of love, because at the end of the day, that is what saved everyone. You think about Sati, Ramakandra's daughter.
Yeah.
And when Neo's in the train station, Ramakandra's talking to him and it's like, talking about how he loves her very much. This program loves another program the way that he loves Trinity.
Yeah.
And introducing that concept of love and then taking it a step further and bringing that concept of love to the machine world, to return to source.
Yeah.
It has to be that authentic, deepest form of love.
Right.
Yeah.
I asked that because for me personally, I see the break in the cycle when he falls in love with Trinity.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
earlier movies, but that's just me. I'm always controversial. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just like, hey man, sequel trilogy. I mean, Ben, you know, somebody believes in him finally, and he makes that sacrificial step to break the cycle, to break the cycle.
Yes. Absolutely.
And he sacrificed himself for the greater good.
Yeah.
And I think that is the deepest form of love, where Anakin has this idea that he's going to live forever with Padme. And it's just unnatural because he's trying to put boundaries around life and love at the same time. Like, I'm going to keep you alive, because I know in my brain, I have these force streams that you're dying and you're not going to die. And I got this dude that told me that we could do it together, but I have to sacrifice everything about myself to do that. And, Padme's like, you're going down a path I cannot follow, and it's like, he does it unnaturally, and it's not love. Right. What he has for Padme is not love,
It's possessive.
He's possessive. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's only through his son that he sees true love, where, dude, you don't even know half the stuff I've done. And yet you have this construct, you have this idea of a father, and you feel good to me. I'm not a good dude. And that's when he changes and be like, all right, now I get it, because I was trying to do it forcefully, no pun intended. You're trying to force Padme to stay alive and love him, but you don't want to let go. It's that classic, like Beauty and the Beast, you got to let him go. You got to let it go.
Exactly.
So he can't do that. He has to control it. And that's very Sith-like, right? You have to control, and you can't control love, and when you give oneself up, that's when it becomes the real deal. And I think he sees that Luke was ready to die for him. And so he makes that step. And then similar to Ben, Rey was going to die, and did die in a sense. And he basically is like, she believes in me and I have to believe in her,
right.
And that's where it's at, so.
Yup.
Testify.
Aaron, you got anything to add before we? I mean, we could talk about the Matrix for probably 5 hours or something.
We could. we gotta
keep it short here.
But yeah, I've got nothing to add. That was fantastic.
Awesome. Well, should stick around because we got more.
We do. But first, we got to pay some bills.
Oh, who'd wait?
I know. It's about that time. So you can find us all on the socials. Heather at Hawk Awesome, Carla at Carla Marie Giac, Todd at Tizad, and the Big T Little T podcast. Myself at Aaron Julian on the Instagram. We're part of the Red 5 Network. Bunch of great Star Wars podcasts you should check out at Red 5 Network. And represent. Thank you, Dave. And we've got our own handle at WSTR Media. All right, you can email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. Leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. We want to hear from you. Our entire back catalog of episodes and all relevant links can be found at podcast.wstrmedia.com. This podcast is brought to you by Audible, Amazon's audiobook streaming service. Have smart people read smart things right into your ear holes wherever. And
you don't have to even pick up a book.
I know. It's super easy. wherever and however and whenever you want to listen. Head on over to audibletrial.com/WSTR to get your free trial today. My light just burned out. So we're gonna improvise. Now it's a campfire story.
You think
All right.
darkness is your ally.
I was born in it, molded by it. All right. audibletrial.com/WSTR to get your free 30-day trial today. Help us pay to keep the lights on. And we got merch.
Yeah.
Store.WSTRmedia.com. You can cover you or your loved ones head to toe in WSTR merch. Store.WSTRmedia.com. And we are on Patreon, patreon.com/WSTRmedia, where you can join fellow patrons Jason Handy and Jeremy Myers, Scarif Scuttlebutt, and Elena Strikes and Nicholas Schaefer as they listen to exclusive content you can't get anywhere else, including Heather's Holocron and Starside Chat. And coming very soon, Carla's coming up with her own show. Ain't that going to be nice? So that is patreon.com/WSTR media.
That looked like really creepy and with
Yeah.
like Tales from the Crypt here, maybe.
Helps when you have no eyebrows. All right, Todd, take it away with
Yes.
teasing that news.
Oh, I'm teasing it. Okay, we got 5-packs. We got Boss Talk, and then we got Face Swap. So tune in, write those down, and see if they relate. Well, they do relate, because I wrote them, so they will relate. I promise.
It's all part of the
But
plan.
now, that's the tease. That's the tease. So 5-packs, Boss Talk, and then Face Swap. All right, now it's time for Twitter Trash Compactor. All right, every week we're running those polls, and this last week was no exception. And so we had STF Underground last week, and we're talking some wrestling. So what is your favorite era of WWE wrestling? Dave and Liv, do you dabble in the wrestling, or is that just not your thing?
I dabbled in the 90s, so I voted for the 90s.
Okay.
I know nothing about wrestling. I don't want to offend anyone, so I'll just keep my mouth shut for the rest of this part.
It's fine.
I always saw it as like choreography. Really, really intense, scary choreography.
Well, Doug alluded in the last episode that wrestling, a lot of big things people say is that the first thing they say is wrestling's fake. And then he told us, well, so is Star Wars, so is Game of Thrones, so is Breaking Bad. A lot of things that we like are fake. Star Wars, I'm surprised. Matrix, fake. But
What?
there you go. What?
But I began to believe.
I believe. So on the old Twitter poll, we have 4 choices. 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010 plus, just all the way to 2020, Aaron, you didn't watch wrestling, so you're not going to help.
Nope, I'm disqualified.
Yeah, Liv doesn't watch wrestling. Dave, you said you picked 90s.
I did.
Yeah, that's Stone Cold, Rock, that kind of thing. I was, I'm an 80s man, so of course I picked the 80s. That's Hogan and Macho Man and all those kind of fun guys. And Twitter would agree with Dave. It was 90s, 53%. It's a good era. The Attitude Era, if you will.
It doesn't have Macho Man, though.
I know. But we had in the 90s, we had Spider-Man. So Bonesaw McGraw, so there you go.
Bonesaw.
You got playtime for 3 minutes. All right. So, it is time for News of the Week. I know you already forgot them, but that's okay. I'm going to walk through them right now. So, first up, this is coming from CBR.com. Star Wars celebrates the saga with new Hasbro 5-packs.
5-packs?
5-packs. we're going to bring them all together. So celebrate the saga with 5 packs based on different eras of the franchise. Okay, so we're looking at 3 3/4 here. And so we got some Sith, 5-pack of Sith, which has Emperor, Darth Vader, Kylo, Darth Maul. Is that what 3PO unit is that? Is that
it's a red one.
It's
Maybe C-3PO killed him for his arm.
Yeah, maybe that's the one. I wonder if
is that 000?
That might be 000, bro. But he's not Sith. All right, whatever. I'm not in marketing. I'm not in Hasbro. I don't know. But basically, you have a bounty hunter wave. You have bounty hunters like Jango, Boba, Bosk, IG-88. You got a Jedi, Yoda, that Mace, Anakin, Obi-Wan. I mean, they're all pretty cool.
They seem to they really like throwing in a droid with each one. It looks like
it's like we need to have a token droid in this.
Yeah, can you just store the droid? So,
oh no,
yeah, they got some 5 packs. What do you think of these guys? Celebrate the saga.
Isn't there a Tantive 5 hallway too?
Yes, there is. That one's that's a Hasbro Plus. That looks pretty cool. It's pretty much the set like how they filmed it because they only had one wall, so they just flipped it around. So I like it. I like that. I like the hallway better than I do the 5 packs.
It's a nice diorama.
Yeah. Plus, I'm not a big 3 3/4 anymore, but that's okay. It's all good. Oh, this week supposed to be Celebration Week?
Oh,
yeah. Moment of silence. Okay. Well, there you go. Here's here's the weird thing too, guys. Like, Lucasfilm hasn't announced like this virtual con, but Funko already has, and so is Hasbro. So I'm not sure. There might be still something in the works here, but whatevs. We'll see. We'll see if, all of a sudden Lucasfilm's like, hey, you guys, remember Celebration? Well, we got something for you, but all the toy people already told you about it. So, okay. This is coming from digitalspy.com. Star Wars Boss offers updates on the future of the movies. They're taking a step back for a little while.
No.
Shocking. Oh, man.
We already knew that.
Yeah.
I thought this was already known.
I don't know.
Oops.
Okay, so Kathleen Kennedy basically says, that's what we've been doing. We've been having a great deal of fun doing it, and it means a lot for different filmmakers and talent. She recently told The Wrap. There's so many fans out there, so many filmmakers that have been influenced by Star Wars for so long. It's a fantastic opportunity to get a sense of who wants to be part of this. Okay, well, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, she's not really saying anything new.
I'm convinced she only speaks in spin.
Yeah, right. They made me say this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. This article is a bunch of clickbait stuff. I apologize because I'm reading it. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, of course we're on a pause. I mean, we got a pandemic going on. Nothing's being filmed. Yeah. I mean, there is some exciting stuff on the horizon. And I mean, the good thing out of all of this is that they already filmed season 2 of The Mandalorian, and that's we will still get that in 2020. So there's still some saving grace for 2020. What are you guys excited for? Let's just talk Mando real quick. What are you guys excited for season 2?
More Baby Yoda.
You took it.
The hottest of takes right there.
More Baby Yoda. I don't care about anything else. I just want more Baby Yoda.
Oh.
He's my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I just, if we're obviously we're not getting movies or anything like that right now, but what some of the most remarkable stories in the Star Wars universe for me have always been the long form storytelling that we get in the shows. So I'm just glad that we get to continue to pull on that thread a little bit longer with Mando. And then you also think about the other shows that are coming up next year, Bad Batch being one of them. All that kind of stuff. That stuff makes me excited right now. I would love to see where High Republic goes personally before we might get another movie. Personally, I would like to, because it'd be cool to see like if the High Republic is this brand new age of Star Wars, right? And people respond to it really well, then that might be something worth exploring on the big screen or even as another series.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, when are we getting this trailer? We're supposed to get a trailer last Thursday. What's happening? What are your sources say, Dave? You can just throw out a date and you could say, well, Lucasfilm wasn't ready. So just throw me out a date here. What we got? Because let's just preface, the trailer for Mandalorian Season 1 came out August 23rd. That was yesterday, 2019. So what do you think, man?
September 25th.
Our wedding day?
Yep.
It's going to happen during our wedding?
Yep.
I'm going to be so mad. We're
Wow.
going to be like,
why is everyone looking at their phones?
hold on.
Pause everything. That was the first
We're
thing
both
that-
out there just crying. Like, it's so beautiful.
What are you crying about? Baby Yoda?
That'd be perfect.
Sorry, you were asked the question, but I took the opportunity.
No, I like that idea a lot. I think that's the only thing that could make our wedding even more geeky is if we just had like a moment of
Trailer watching?
Trailer watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no one talks about the wedding like, dude, did you see that trailer?
Basically what would happen.
Yeah. It's all good.
That'd be great.
So you're saying it's September 25th. I think it might be a little bit earlier,
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, probably sometime in the next couple weeks, I guess. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I always ask this question too. Okay, this is gonna bake your noodle, right? So like, we never saw Baby Yoda, and he was like the greatest thing ever. So what are we gonna see in season 2 that we don't see in the trailer? That's gonna like bake our noodle and be like, oh my gosh,
I know what you're gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
The Fat Man. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Boba Fett.
I feel like
I
they
just
would
like to be evil.
Do you think they would show that in the trailer though?
No.
No.
That's why I said Boba Fett.
Okay. Do you think they would show like in Ahsoka in the trailer?
No.
No? Okay.
They're not going to give anything
I don't know.
I feel like
Ahsoka's like pretty, based off of Clone Wars and everything like that. I feel like there's a lot of buzz, so that might be something that they would show.
I think if they show one, they won't show the other.
I think if they were to show any
New character.
any new character, my guess would be Bo-Katan. Maybe. If they
But again, like the normal person doesn't know who the heck that is.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
No one's gonna be like the next day, Bo-Katan. Did you see Bo-Katan? Like, no one's gonna say that. I'm just being honest.
That's true. But I mean, like,
I wouldn't have 3 months ago.
that's also true.
Right.
Let's be real.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, you got anything to weigh in? Who's gonna show up, man? Who's gonna show up in the trailer? Sizzle reel, wet that whistle, be like, oh my gosh.
Goodness. Ahsoka returning would be pretty sweet. Not that jazzed about Boba Fett for reasons that I've said many times on the show.
That's okay.
I know I'm a wet blanket. Honestly, like, man, let's just get the gang all back together. We got like this weird kind of dysfunctional family. that's trying to take care of this baby Yoda. Let's go on adventures. Let's find out about Moff Gideon and the Darksaber. Let's have some laughs and make some friends along the way. I mean, one of my favorite episodes of season 1 was just that one where like Jawas just take apart his ship, and he's got to spend the whole thing just getting his stuff back and then reassembling it.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's kind of a small scale bottle episode, but we learn a lot about Mando there and about Baby Yoda as well, and they take like a kind of small moment and use it to really inform us about the character, and that's what really sticks with me over the long period. So in a way, it almost doesn't matter to me like who shows up and who doesn't show up as far as like my fan favorite characters, but it's just like make them showing up actually be interesting and actually inform us about both themselves and other characters in a way that we maybe would not have seen otherwise. That's what's interesting to me.
Yeah. If they're going to show Ahsoka, I say they show just the back of her head.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't even, like just like a tease,
Or just her lightsaber. That'd be pretty dope too.
Yeah.
It's like white.
Because I mean, that's very distinctive.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that would also contrast really well. Like I'm building the trailer in my head.
Right.
Like you have Moff Gideon with the Darksaber.
But with
the lightsaber.
But Aaron, what you said is totally key of why Mandalorian is so successful is that it's slow burn. You get great character development in a lot of different episodes. Obviously, that's not happening in sizzle reel. So we're going to say bang, bang, shoot him, bullet, gun, and we're going to see some cool stuff. I mean, if you just think about the trailer that we saw for season 1, I mean, it barely scratched the surface of what we got to see. So that's what really makes me excited just for season 2. I mean, we, get to see the Razor Crafts fly over some cracked rock and we're like, oh my God, so I just see me, a couple of flybys of the Razor Crafts. I'm cool, whatever. But yeah, it would be cool to see some kind of cameo of some character, show up. So there you go. All right. Last one. This one's you kind of have to see it. So go to mymodernmet.com, and artist secretly replaces frame photos at home with Star Wars art, and his wife doesn't even notice. That's the headline here. If you scroll down a little bit here on this, it's an Australian artist known as Scadum. I don't know. He's on Reddit as Mandalore. Oh, he's a nerd. Okay, cool. We like him. Basically, it shows that he replaced Mace Windu in this bonnet, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's like photoshopped like Renaissance paintings.
Yes.
Star Wars characters.
Star Wars characters. I mean, they're fantastic. There's like an Obi-Wan that has like the Coruscant background. I mean, these are like really cheesy and super fun. There's a General Grievous in like a Victorian dress with some lightsabers. Looks like
and
a
forearms.
Also, forearms. It's fun because it's like a typical nerd shelf with like some old books with like these small paintings, and he replaces them all, and they're really well done, really well painted.
Mm-hmm.
They're fantastic. So check that out. I think it's good for a laugh to see a nerd bookshelf. What do you guys think of these paintings?
We were talking earlier, and we were like, okay, when we print these out, where are we going to put them in the house?
Already planning this out.
Yeah,
like, this has to be decor.
Like, do we put it front and center, like first thing people see when they come in?
No. You gotta make it.
Or you
subtle,
gotta be
man.
subtle.
Yeah, subtle.
Both.
Subtle.
Why not both? I want both.
Yeah, you could have like a teaser one, like something that's front and center, like, oh, this is what I've come to expect here, so now I've got to inspect all of these.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Where's Waldo? How many are there?
Ah, okay.
You see, you got to have one just like right on top of the toilet tank. So like people go to use the restroom and they're like, oh, haha, that's funny. But they think it's just a one-off thing for the bathroom, right? But then they start to notice it in other parts of the house. And they're like,
Yeah.
how deep does this go?
Bed.
Yeah.
You put it in the guest bedroom, facing the bed, so when they like lay down,
Oh,
and, like
no.
Mace Windu with his lightsaber, like
Yeah.
in a
Oh my
bonnet.
gosh. There you go.
Oh, man.
All right, that's all the news items I have for this week. Aaron, it's your turn.
Alrighty. If I can find the right place in the notes. Oh, yeah, it's about time. It's about time for Cantina Chat. Okay, time for Cantina Chat, the time of the show where we talk about all things geeky and nerdy we've been up to in the past. Todd, what have you been up to?
Me first? Oh,
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. So I'm doing the streaming thing with Trent. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing this, and so it's fun. So I got new headsets, new mics, so we can have talk. So we're starting to stream. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's fun. So we've been playing Moving Out, which I talked about last week, which is just basically take a box, move it to the truck. Pretty fun. We did a little Streets of Rage 4, which is a little beat 'em up game that we've been playing. So been doing that a little bit. Watched SummerSlam last night.
Whoa!
That's, if you're not familiar, that's a pay-per-view event for WWE. So here's the future. So obviously with COVID, no fans, blah blah blah. They put younger talent in the first couple rows, a couple weeks, but they moved from their training center into another. Forget, it's Florida somewhere, whatever. They moved into a stadium, and all the fans were virtual. They had all LED screens, and they're all fans that are like live streamed into the stadium.
That's surreal.
It was kind of weird, but it also kind of works. So you see, like, and they would change them out. So like they would, and I mean, it's like a full stadium screens. I don't know how many LED screens they have, but it was a full stadium, at least on the camera side, that you could see. So yeah, that's the future. I saw the future there. So pretty interesting. A lot of tech there. Vince is always pushing technology and stuff like that. So I was really interested how that was pulled off, and I felt like it was executed really good. You could see fan reaction. They pumped a little of that sound into the stadium, into the arena, which is a weird thing. Obviously, with wrestling, like when they were doing it at the training facilities, there's no crowd noise, and so it's part of the thing that you go to event when you have people, and obviously in a pandemic can't have that. So it was interesting that they had, it wasn't like fully pumped in, but at least they had some crowd noise in there based on the reactions of the fans that you saw on the screen. So I thought that was a very interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much my geek of the week right now. So Liv, how about you? What have you been doing geeky?
I have been playing an excessive amount of Jedi Academy.
Wow.
There's never too much.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm really close to beating it, to be honest. Like I think I'm coming up on the end, if I remember correctly. And I restarted my Zelda Breath of Wild video game.
Nice.
And I know we got a slight teaser of pre-production of Breath of Wild, but I just want to be 100% ready to go whenever that announcement of Breath of Wild 2
that's a true fan right there. I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be prompt. I'm going to be primed. I'm ready to go.
Yes. I love all things Legends of Zelda. So that's, yeah.
Dave, she's a keeper. Just keep her. She's a keeper.
He's keeping. Other than that, just prepping choreography. That I think that's geeky and nerdy. Like for me, for like teaching and dancing and stuff, and getting student choreography off the ground, ready to go. So there's that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought you were thinking about choreography for your wedding dance.
We're not necessarily doing that just because lots of other things have to take priority in preparation.
Sure.
So If we have
It's
time,
true.
we'll add it in.
That's another
Okay.
geeky thing we're doing is wedding plating because it's going to be a geeky wedding.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Right
That's
on.
that's a big one.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Cool. Dave, how about you?
Watch DC Fandom over the weekend.
Dude, some good trailer stuff going on there.
So good. I was just elated. You get the Wonder Woman 1984 trailer. You get Gotham Knights, which just blew me away. Oh my god, that was probably the biggest thing. That's probably the thing I'm most excited about from what I saw, and I'm super excited for the Batman for sure and the Snyder Cut. But Gotham Knights and the trailer plus the gameplay on top of that just completely floored me because I love the Arkham series with all my heart. I've so many hours.
Yes.
So many hours.
So
Yeah.
many hours.
Days.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
And-
I'm right with you. I'm like, I'm Batman. I'm gonna get this 100-hit combo. You better believe I'm getting this 100-hit combo right here.
Definitely. And it's that, but you get to be Nightwing, you get to be Robin, you get to be Batgirl, you get to be Red Hood. I mean, it's absolutely astounding that it took them this long to do something like this. Like
Yeah.
once I saw it, I was like, why haven't they done this before? This is so dope.
They were
Yeah.
waiting for Marvel to take a break. They're like, oh, Marvel's done. Pounce.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, and we got a little Star Wars tie-in too. Mr. Christopher Sean is playing Nightwing. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't realize that actually.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So so he's doing the character of Nightwing, which is fantastic. That's great. So
That's amazing.
yeah. No, it looks fantastic. That looks fantastic. Suicide Squad game, from Rocksteady.
Oh yeah.
You got a Red Kryptonite Superman down for that. Cool. I mean, yeah, Batman trailer again. I think you could say whatever you want to say about Patterson, but it looks
she's
good.
Not fired up. I'm fired up.
Here's my big thing about Batman, which makes him different from like the Punisher, right? Is that he has humanity. So he is an anti-hero in a sense, but there's that humanity thing that he doesn't cross, right? That's why we talked about earlier, like Batman Joker, right? And like he's not going. It almost came across like he is vengeance, and he's going to kick butt. Great, but there's this part of me that wants to make sure that there's still that human element that makes Batman different than a Punisher or a Wolverine or somebody that kills for fun in a sense. And it looks like he was kind of like, I got this. I'm darkness.
Someone who's
that.
not necessarily like a blood-sucking vampire all the time.
Wow. Okay.
That glitters. That glitters.
Oh,
Sparkles.
over it.
Well, I think when you talk about the Punisher and all these others, and when I think about them, specifically the Punisher, one of the core components that's in the fabric of that character is this excess of violence, right?
Correct.
And for Batman, his core fabric is not violence. He's the world's greatest detective, first and foremost.
That's what it says under, this says Batman, the world's greatest detective. It doesn't say Batman, I'm going to vengeance and death.
And granted, I love when I love when you get to see Batman brawl because it's always just so much fun. But
was it a brawl or was it just a flat smackdown? Boom, boom, boom. I was like, okay.
But I think it's when you remove the world's greatest detective piece that you remove that thing that makes Batman really special.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Right.
and you're only executing on this idea that Batman is just this awesome fighter. Because there's a lot of comics out there that have been done over the years that just do that.
Mhm.
They are basically just putting Batman in these fights the entire time, and he's doing none of the detective work. He's just muscle,
Right.
mindless muscle. And Batman's a smart guy. He's incredibly intelligent, borderline genius. I want to see that component brought in, the humanity aspect. I want to see that
Right.
brought in.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I love Batman. He's my favorite superhero. Warner Brothers just has not given me much to go off of to be excited about when it comes to Batman. I mean, Ben Affleck and now Rob Pattinson.
Yeah.
Bring back old school Michael Keaton Batman. All I want. I want Michael Keaton back.
You don't want Val Kilmer nipples, or is that George Clooney? That was George Clooney.
I think it was George Clooney.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, but I mean, it's interesting because Marvel has been the top dog for so long, and DC actually showed some strength. And speak about muscle, I mean, you got The Rock play back Black Adam. I think that to me, that's some star power, obviously. And he kind of has the way The Rock was describing it. Obviously, he's a great showman. He knows how to cut a promo. He's been doing it for years. He kind of has that very, Thanos kind of feel to it. Like it's going to be him against the Justice League, which is great. I'm fine with that. I just feel like they haven't got their act together in forever. And so hopefully they're moving towards that, so.
Yeah,
It was good. I mean, again, Gotham Knights, I'm good. I'm good. So.
And as far as just one last thing about DC fandom, as far as like a general production value, I was skeptical about what a virtual con might look like. This was my very first virtual con, and I was very impressed with how it went as a large scale online convention. I thought it was really, really well done. I was engaged. It got me excited about these things. The only thing you miss is the con crud that you get.
Yeah, the con pox.
Exactly. So I thought it was really well organized and put together, and they had a lot of really cute little cutscenes. Like I like the little Batman claymation things that we got in there. Those were really adorable. But yeah, it was really good. Other than that, I've been reading a Huntress Origins that Liv got me for my birthday.
you're welcome.
It's really good.
Good.
No big
Awesome.
deal.
I read. Is that like a graphic novel or is it a book?
Oh, so it's a trade paperback.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Huntress Origins. So Huntress has, how like some characters in comics have like a year one.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Huntress is one of those that has both a year one and an Origins.
Mm-hmm.
The year one Huntress features the version of Huntress that you see in Birds of Prey, the Bertinelli girl.
Yep.
And in Huntress Origins, you get the original Huntress, which is the daughter of Bruce and Selena Kyle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting version in there. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
Yep.
Cool.
I know. I'm
Awesome.
cool.
You are
You
cool.
dope.
Nope. Aaron, how about you?
Well, it's been kind of a sad week when it comes to nerd stuff. Haven't been up to too much. We recorded another Starside chat, me and JD, which was quite nice. We've been on hiatus for that for quite some time now, so it was fun to get back together with him.
You're back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that. I picked up the bass again, kind of put that aside for a while, but started playing that. I've been learning a lot of riffs off of the Melvin's album Houdini, for any grunge fans out there.
Okay.
But I also just learned the riff for Smooth Criminal, so that's a lot of fun to play.
Cool.
Yeah, now we got.
I feel like Aaron, when we close, you should do like a cool bass riff, for an outro,
Like Seinfeld.
Yeah. I'm not that good. Slap bass is very difficult to do, but yeah, I'll get there someday.
Yeah. Hey, wait. I mean, you got to brag for a second. Brag to Dave and Liv what you did in November
of last year. Yeah.
Yes. You got to brag. It's brag.
Yeah. So I've been playing bass for like a year. I was noodling around when The Mandalorian came out, and really loved the theme song for that, and I figured out how to play it on bass. Well, I looked up tabs for it. There were no tabs anywhere, so I just kind of learned it by ear. Then I wrote the tab, and it's been like voted up a ton, and so it's kind of been
that's so cool.
The go-to bass tab for it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah,
wrote the tabs.
Hotshot rock star here on WSTR.
You're just slapping the bass, baby.
Yeah. So that's been fun. We got school starting up again. I became the station manager for the student radio station, which is super cool. It's also super weird because like 60% of the students are off campus. So it's been a weird challenge to try to make that work. But I see it as a huge opportunity too, because we're in a place where we can really redefine like what is really important for a radio station. How are people going to reconnect with this at a time like this when everybody's remote? And just like, I wasn't expecting like anybody to show up, but we got like a leadership team of like 6-7 people who were like all like, yeah, let's go do this. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I guess we are.
Yeah. So I could talk about that for a while, but it'd be irrelevant and boring for most people. So we'll leave it at that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to be in the place that I'm in right now.
Cool, man. That's awesome. Did you change? You should change your title to Jedi Master of Sound Engineering.
I should. It's not too late.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Awesome. All right. Well, that's a wrap, folks. How about I send us off here? So thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. You can check us out on the social media, WSTR Media. You can comment, tweet, rate us on Apple Podcast. If you leave us a 5-star rating, we will literally throw swag in your face. So please do so. You can email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. You can write did Neo do the prophecy, write the dissertation between Neo and Anakin, and we'll read it next week. You can leave us not a 5-star rating on the voicemail, but you could just say, you guys, you're 5-star, but you can leave a voicemail, 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. Operators are standing by to take those calls. We have robots that will translate it for us, and we'll read it or we'll play it on an upcoming episode. You can catch all our back catalog, 184 episodes at podcast.wstrmedia.com. We got merch, store.wstrmedia.com. We're also on Patreon. You could listen to Aaron and JD as Star Tie Chat. Carla is like going to do something very soon, and Heather has Heather Chronicles. So you can check that out at patreon.com/WSTR Media. Thanks for everyone hanging out in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for doing that. A shout out to Cam. He was keeping the pineapple at bay, so I appreciate that. But yeah, thanks for everyone hanging out there. We are part of the Red 5 Network, and Crazy Mastermind Row was on the chat as well. So it's a great family of network. Pizza and Parsecs, they're part of Red 5. We're part of Red 5. So it's cool. So check it out at Red 5 That's number 5 network. And you can also find a bunch of shenanigans at www.red5network.com. Check out for updates, what's going on for all the shows that we are part of the Red 5 network. It's very cool. Where can people find you, Dave and Liv?
Yeah, Dave, where can they find us? I don't have that memorized.
What's the pitch, man?
Online.
On the internet.
On the
podcasts.
internet.
Google us.
Well, you can find us on the aforementioned red5network.com. Proud to call the Red 5 Network home. Have these good folks at WSTR among our Red 5 family. So you can check us out there or on pizzaandparsecs.com. If you like Wizarding Worlds, Gotham, or galaxies far, far away, come find us. We're also on Twitter at Pizza and Parsecs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And anywhere podcasts can be found.
No, I'm going to schmooze you for a little bit, Dave. I really appreciate you're very positive on the old interweb, so I appreciate that.
He's
you do
very good.
Definitely plug a lot of shows. I love that. It's great. Because the Twitterverse is kind of like the Matrix. It's like real but fake, and people get really hung up there. And so
that's why I disappear for like months on end.
It's just, I mean, it's a real thing. Like I feel like it's a great thing because I met so many cool people, such as yourselves.
Definitely.
Right. That like I wouldn't have gotten an opportunity to do that, but I was also like, you know what, guys, this ain't real, bro. Like it's not real. This is part of the Matrix. So it's a give take thing. So, but I do really appreciate all the positivity out there, man. Love it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Good job, babe.
And just real quick, just want to thank you again so much for letting us geek out with you guys. We love geeking out with each other. We love geeking out with internet friends too. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah.
We love the Matrix.
We're real people, awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Last time I checked.
My mama always told me not to make friends on the internet, but then I did. Now she's proud of me.
Like, you were wrong.
Look, I actually made friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I think that's a great opportunity. Like, again, like just networking and meeting new people. I think it's fantastic. So there is good stuff in the internet. So yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm glad we got to do this. I mean, Aaron already thought you were on a couple times. So now that this is officially in the books, great. Now we could do it again soon. So. Dope.
Fantastic.
But yeah. So the show must go on. Next week, this is how it works. We're at 185. Next week's 186. That's how we do it. We don't do it backwards like George Lucas, but we're going forward to 186. We got another 501st member coming to the show. She's a friend of Carla's, so she checks out. It's Jen Markham, and she's having a lot of fun on TikTok. She's doing some dope videos on TikTok with like a bunch of her costumes. They're fantastic. We want to know more about that. I said, hey, should we go on TikTok? And Aaron laughed at me and said, no, we can't go on TikTok. So, but Jen has, and Jen has, and so she's really killing it on TikTok. So we want to find out where she's getting all this creativity from. And so, so we're going to have her on the show next week. Hey, we're still on that road to 3,500. Speaking about fake friends and followers and robots and everything. Yeah, we want to get to 3,500. So please do so, because Carla has a bunch of Funko Pops that she wants to get rid of. I got some toys I want to get rid of. So we want to get to 3,500. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your robots, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Get plugged into the Matrix for 3,500. There you go. That's it. That's a wrap. Thanks again, Dave and Liv, for coming to the show. We really, really, really appreciate it. And Aaron, there's only one way we end this thing, baby.
Only one way. Now this is podcasting.